Hi there. Welcome to the fourth unit of study, Coaching Fundamentals and How to Coach Ethically and Responsibly. In this unit, you'll learn about the fundamentals of coaching and how to apply coaching practices ethically and responsibly. Specifically, you'll learn the difference between coaching, counseling, and therapy, the roles and responsibilities of a coach, and how to co-create a better future for the client. Along the way, and as part of your assessment, you'll start to develop your coaching toolkit, which will get you coaching straight away when you've completed the course. But first, let's look at one of the most important aspects of coaching, its definition. The International Coach Federation, ICF, defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential, which is particularly important in today's uncertain and complex environment. Fundamental to this definition is that coaches honor the client as the expert in their own life and work and believe that every client is creative, resourceful, and whole. The coaching process helps clients dramatically improve their outlook on work and life while improving their leadership skills and unlocking their potential. Now, let's look at where coaching fits with the other disciplines of psychology, counseling, and therapy. One of the main differences between coaching, counseling, and therapy is that counseling and therapy focus on resolving issues from the past. They're conducted by trained counselors or psychologists and typically occur in a community or family relations center. The counselor or psychologist uses therapeutic techniques to resolve profound and or difficult situations of a severe nature. They then go on to help their client create a brighter future. The study to become a psychologist, counselor, or therapist is more prolonged and intense than that required to become a coach, and delves into deeper issues of the psyche. Psychologists and trained therapists deal with issues such as mental illness, domestic violence, and abuse of all kinds. Coaches are not trained to deal with these issues. They generally work with well-functioning people who are stuck in some way and want help and support to get on and achieve the goals they've set for themselves in life. When deeper issues arise, a coach should refer the client immediately to their local general practitioner for assistance. The aim of this course is to develop your knowledge and skills as a great coach and business person. As you go through this course, you'll be provided with the tools you need to get you started on your coaching career. You'll develop your coaching toolkit. The first tool you'll develop is your coaching biography. This is your introduction to the world and the first thing that prospective clients know about you. As part of your assessment, you'll be asked to develop a one-pager that you can give to clients to explain your background and expertise and how you can help them solve a problem or meet a specific need. Make sure that your one-page biography looks professional, something you'd be proud to send out to prospective clients, leave in local shops, or with people who may refer clients to you, and is readily available in your coaching room for satisfied clients to pick up and take to give to a friend. Also, as part of your assessment, you'll be asked to develop your coaching philosophy. How will you operate? How will you treat your clients? What can they expect from you? As you explore what you will write down and say about your approach to coaching, you'll be encouraged to learn more about yourself, your prospective clients, and the boundaries you'll set in relation to your coaching practice. For example, at this stage of your learning, you may not have a clear idea of who you want to coach. We encourage you to consider coaching in the area of your expertise. Overlay your coaching skills with your expertise. This will demonstrate to the client that you know what you're talking about and that you're the right person to help them get what they need or help them solve their problems. Once again, make sure that your one-page coaching philosophy looks professional, something you'd be proud to share with or give to your clients as you negotiate the coaching contract with them. Knowing yourself is all about knowing and understanding your strengths and weaknesses. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? What do you have to offer that others don't? Some coaches work purely to their strengths and encourage their clients to do the same. Remember that you're trying to solve a problem for your client, meet an unfilled need, and/or make their life easier in some way. At first, you will probably take all comers as clients. This is understandable as you start your journey as a professional coach. However, as time goes by, you may find a pattern emerging, or you may get referrals from clients with similar problems. This evolutionary approach to growing your client list will happen, but not overnight. So initially, you'll need to think about who you would want as your client, depending on your expertise and the value you can bring to the coaching experience. This will also determine the groups in which you start to market your services, network with others, and gain professional connections. Start by listing all those you know whom you think would benefit from your services, both individuals and groups. Then branch out from there into related fields. For example, if you have skills in sales and retail, you might reach out to those in the fashion industry who want to grow their business. If you've been told you're a great parent, you may reach out to the local community center and ask if you can present your services at their next meeting. If you have expertise in nutrition, you may start a group discussion on your website to attract new clients. Whatever your coaching audience, you'll need to be very clear up front about what they expect of you and vice versa. Be firm about setting appointments and keeping them, about getting a fair price for your services, and keeping strictly to the hour for your coaching session. Make sure that your clients take the actions they said they would in between sessions. Whatever guidelines you set, stick to them. Over time, you'll find what works best for you and your clients, but initially you may have to be more flexible. One rule that's important to keep, however, is not to do anything for the client that they can do for themselves. If you do, you'll become part of the problem, not the solution. The only time you may do things for the client is when they cannot possibly do that thing for themselves. For example, speak to another person who may be a resource for them and make the introduction. As you prepare your one-page coaching philosophy, you may want to consider the NLP presuppositions we looked at in the last unit for possible inclusion in your statement. Ask yourself, which of these prepositions do I subscribe to? And do I want to include any of them in my coaching philosophy? Writing your coaching philosophy is not something you can do overnight. You need to give it some thought. We've talked about all these things. You need to then come up with a statement you would feel comfortable with in terms of how you would operate as a coach. A statement you'd be proud to hand to a prospective client and stand by when you conduct your coaching sessions. Now, let's look at how you actually conduct your coaching. Here are the principles of coaching that will guide you in the coaching practice. Firstly, you need to establish trust and intimacy with the client. We've already looked at the 12 NLP techniques that you use as a coach to build rapport and better communication. In future units of study, we'll show you more ways to go to deeper levels with the client. Throughout the coaching session, you need to maintain a coaching presence. What this means is that you park your own thoughts, ideas, and feelings so you can be totally present with the client. No judgment, no blame, no recriminations. Just be with the client. Next, you need to set the ground rules and boundaries by which the coaching sessions will operate. You need to gain the client's agreement on these aspects before you proceed, so you're both on the same page. When these three things are in place, then you can begin to understand the client's situation and needs. The International Coach Federation has established guidelines as to how a coach should establish trust and intimacy with the client. The coach should show genuine concern for the client's welfare and future, continuously demonstrate personal integrity, honesty, and sincerity, establish clear agreements and keep promises, demonstrate respect for the client's perceptions, learning style, and personal being, provide ongoing support for and champion new behaviors and actions, including those involving risk-taking and fear of failure, and ask permission to coach the client in sensitive new areas. We'll be exploring these elements in greater detail in the webinars that you attend for this unit of study. The following behaviors are what the ICF have listed as maintaining a coaching presence. The coach is present and flexible during the coaching process, dancing in the moment, accesses their own intuition and trusts their inner knowing, goes with the gut, is open to not knowing and takes risks, sees many ways to work with the client and chooses in the moment what is the most effective, uses humor effectively to create lightness and energy, confidently shifts perspectives and experiments with new possibilities for own action, demonstrates confidence in working with strong emotions, and can self-manage and not be overpowered or enmeshed by the client's emotions. More about these points in the webinars. Setting the ground rules and boundaries is important in terms of the way you expect the coaching relationship to operate. For example, you and your client may agree on a relationship characterized by openness and honesty, integrity in all dealings, and commitment from both to help achieving the goals. In terms of boundaries, one boundary that you need them to understand is that if serious issues arise during your coaching sessions, you will refer them on to their local general practitioner or a trusted known professional. This boundary is non-negotiable. Once all these preliminaries are out of the way, you're now in a position to start coaching. The place to start is by gaining an understanding of the client's situation and needs. What's the benefit of your coaching service? What problems are you solving for them? Is it going to save them money? Make their life easier? Is it something they'd love to have? Throughout the coaching process, you need to be clear on your responsibilities as a coach. These are to discover, clarify, and align with what the client wants to achieve, encourage the client's self-discovery, elicit client-generated solutions and strategies, and hold the client responsible and accountable. How you'll be doing this is all part of the discussion we'll have during the webinars. At the same time, you're working with the client to help them create greater awareness of their situation and needs, exploring the possibilities, goal setting and action planning, managing their progress, and accountability. Let's look at each one of these 4 points in more detail. Creating awareness is about going beyond what is said in assessing the client's concerns, not getting hooked by the client's description. Invoking inquiry for greater understanding, awareness, and clarity. Identifying with the client their underlying concerns, typical and fixed ways of perceiving themselves in the world, differences between the facts and the interpretation, and disparities between their thoughts, feelings, and action. Helping clients discover for themselves the new thoughts, beliefs, perceptions, emotions, and moods that strengthen their ability to take action and achieve what's important to them. Communicating broader perspectives to clients and inspiring commitment to shift their viewpoints and find new possibilities for action. Helping clients to see the different interrelated factors that affect them and their behaviors. For example, their thoughts, emotions, body, and background. Expressing insights to clients in ways that are useful and meaningful to them. Identifying major strengths versus major areas for learning and growth, and what's most important to address during coaching. Asking the client to distinguish between trivial and significant issues, situational versus recurring behaviors, when detecting a separation between what is being stated and what is being done. You'll discuss these aspects in more detail in the webinars. Exploring the possibilities is about helping the client focus on and systematically explore specific concerns and opportunities that are central to their coaching needs. Challenging their assumptions and perspectives to provoke new ideas and find new possibilities for the future. Engaging with them to explore alternative ideas and solutions and evaluate options. More on these in the webinars. Goal setting and action planning is about promoting active experimentation and self-discovery, consolidating collected information, and establishing a coaching plan and development goals that address concerns and major areas for learning and development. identifying specific goals for coaching that are attainable, measurable, specific, and have target dates. Advocating or bringing forward points of view that are aligned with their goals, and without attachment, engaging the client to consider them. Brainstorming and assisting the client to define actions that will enable them to demonstrate, practice, and deepen new learning. Helping the client to identify and access different resources for learning, for example, books and other professionals. Encouraging stretches and challenges, but also maintaining a comfortable pace of learning. Helping the client do it now during the coaching session, providing immediate support. Identifying and targeting early successes that are important to the client. Managing progress and accountability is about effectively preparing, organizing, and reviewing with the client information obtained during coaching sessions. Demonstrating follow-through by asking the client about those actions the client committed to during the previous sessions. Acknowledging the client for what they've done, not done, learned, or become aware of since the previous coaching session. Celebrating the successes and newly acquired capabilities for future growth. Positively confronting them with the fact they did not take agreed-upon actions. Making plan adjustments as warranted by the coaching progress and by changes in their situation. Keeping the client on track between sessions by holding their attention on the coaching plan and outcomes, agreed-upon courses of action, and topics for future sessions. Focusing on the coaching plan, but also being open to adjusting behaviors and actions based on the coaching process and shifts in direction during sessions. Being able to move back and forth between the big picture of where the client is heading, setting a context for what is being discussed, and where the client wishes to go. Promoting the client's self-discipline and holding them accountable for what they say they're going to do, for the results of an intended action, and for a specific plan with related time frames. Developing the client's ability to make decisions, address key concerns, and develop themselves. For example, to ask for feedback, determine their own priorities, and set the pace of their own learning, self-reflect, self-regulate, and learn from experiences. So far, we've focused on the coach and what's expected of the coach in the coaching relationship. However, at the same time, there's another very important person in this process that we need to consider. Because the coaching relationship is one of equalized power, we need to put to the client what we expect of them as a partner in this working relationship. Here are some guidelines for you to consider in terms of how you'd like your client to work with you as a coaching partner. You might expect them to arrange a suitable time and place to meet. Stay with the coaching session. In other words, don't get distracted by phone calls, etc. Be open and honest and responsive to feedback. Be open to discovering more about themselves. Indicate if the process is not working for them and give a reason. Look to correct any misconceptions as soon as they arise. Be forthcoming in providing feedback to the coach when requested or as required. Be generous to themselves in making time to complete actions and follow-ups. Let the coach know of any change in circumstances that may affect the coaching relationship or outcomes. As part of developing your coaching toolkit, you'll be asked to develop your own list so you can discuss these expectations with your clients before you begin coaching them. As we've just mentioned, the coaching relationship is one of equalized power. The coach draws information from the client, and the client draws inspiration from the coach. No one is right or wrong. The coaching experience is an opportunity to explore as partners the various options open to your clients to resolve problems in their environment and or to explore even more effective ways of operating in the workforce and in relation to people and tasks in general. There are 4 general styles of coaching. The coach will roam around all 4 styles during the coaching session. The facilitation style is the most useful coaching style to adopt, particularly at the beginning of the coaching session. It involves parking your own thoughts and self-talk in order to be truly present with the client and listen to what they're telling you. The guiding style ensures that the conversation stays on track and/or returns to a focused objective. It is only used after all the facts are on the table or if distractions occur. The directing style is used when the client needs to take specific action to resolve their situation, but doesn't know what to do or where to start. The coach steps in to provide some direction, for example, to investigate a certain option, do some research, talk to certain people, or perform a certain task, etc. The motivating style is used throughout the coaching session, and particularly towards the end to motivate the client to think that they can do it. The client should get excited about doing new things, talking with different people, exploring new possibilities, etc. There are 4 possible ways of delivering coaching sessions. Face-to-face coaching is the preferred option when you're building trust and rapport. You can pick up on body language and eye movement, posture and balance. You can see as well as hear the silences in the conversation. And it's easier to use physical activities and work through materials together. Telephone coaching means you can work with clients nationally or internationally at any time of the day or night, depending on their time zone. There's no time lost on traveling, which means you can spend more time on coaching, and you can choose times of the day when you'll be more focused, present, or energized. Email coaching means that you're never on the spot. You can think things through at your leisure. Unlike telephone coaching, you can keep your coaching emails for future reference. Plus, you can receive emails on your iPhone, then ponder them on the train, in your lunch hour, etc. Video coaching provides the opportunity to see, hear, and talk to your clients all over the world, all for little or no cost. Most coaches use a combination of these coaching methods. It depends on your proximity, location, clients, preferences, timelines, and circumstances. Usually, coaches prefer to meet with their clients at least once during the coaching process, at or close to the beginning of coaching is recommended. We've already looked at developing your coaching biography and coaching philosophy as the first 2 tools in your coaching toolkit. You'll also develop your 1-page responsibilities as a coach and expectations of the client statements as well. Now, let's look at a couple more. The first we'll look at is the actual coaching contract that you negotiate with your client. Under contract law, there are certain elements that must be present for a valid contract to be entered into. There must be an offer and acceptance. That is, the client must agree on the coaching services that you're offering. There must be consideration, generally the supply of money, property, or services. That is, the client must agree to pay for your services in some specified way. Any formalities performed, for example, the actual contract, must be in writing and must show clearly that the parties intend to enter into legal relations. Hence, private non-commercial agreements between family members may not constitute a contract. There must be certainty in what the contract requires to be done or restricts from being done, and the parties must have the capacity to enter into a contract. This means that an individual must have sufficient mental capacity, or in the case of corporations, the person signing the contract must have the authority to do so. When these things are in place, the contract is legal and valid, and coaching can commence. The next tool you'll develop for your coaching toolkit is the Client Details form. This form is intended to collect pertinent information from the client to allow the coaching sessions to begin. Make sure that you only collect information that's relevant. The client doesn't have to provide information unless you have a valid reason to collect it. Next, you need a way to track when you've conducted coaching sessions with a client, for how long, whether you've been paid or not, and if you've given them a receipt. There's no particular way that this information needs to be recorded, and you'll be asked to design your own client tracking sheet as part of your assessment. Here's an example of a welcome letter you can send to your clients after they signed up for your coaching program. It's a good way of easing them into the coaching process and helping them understand what to expect of you, themselves, and of coaching in general. you'll be asked to develop your own welcome letter as part of your assessment. So far, we've concentrated on learning about coaching, what it is, what's involved, styles, and methods. Now let's turn to a very important related area, which is about how you will coach ethically and responsibly. Why do we need a code of ethics? Well, because it documents the broad principles and values to which coaches subscribe. These include confidentiality and the utmost concern for the welfare and success of the client. A code of ethics provides the rules for coaches to use in many of the specific situations that a coach might encounter, and serves as a building block for the ethical and moral standards of coaches. Let's look at the 4 ethical principles underlying a code of ethics, according to the International Coach Federation. These are competence. Coaches should maintain high standards of competence in their work. Integrity. Coaches should represent themselves in an honest and fair manner, being cognizant of their particular competencies and limitations. Professional responsibility. Coaches should uphold high standards of ethical conduct that reflect well on the individual coach as well as on the profession at large. Respect for people's rights and dignity. Coaches should treat clients with dignity and respect, being aware of cultural differences and the client's right to autonomy, privacy, and confidentiality. More on these in the webinars. In terms of ethical practices, the following are examples of the behaviors that the ICF expects their members to subscribe to. I will not knowingly make any public statement that is untrue or misleading about what I offer as a coach, or make false claims in any written documents relating to the coaching profession or my credentials as a member of this association. I will accurately identify my coaching qualifications, expertise, experience, certifications, and member credentials. I will conduct myself in accordance with my code of ethics in all coach training, coach mentoring, and coach supervisory activities. I will maintain, store, and dispose of any records created during my coaching business in a manner that promotes confidentiality, security, and privacy, and complies with any applicable laws and agreements. In terms of professional conduct with clients, the following are examples of the kinds of behaviors that the ICF expects their members to subscribe to. I will have clear agreements or contracts with my clients. I will honor all agreements or contracts made in the context of professional coaching relationships. I will carefully explain and strive to ensure that prior to or at the initial meeting, my coaching client understands the nature of coaching, the nature and limits of confidentiality, financial arrangements, and any other terms of the coaching agreement or contract. I will be responsible for setting clear, appropriate, and culturally sensitive boundaries that govern any physical contact I may have with my clients. I will suggest my clients seek the services of other professionals when deemed necessary or appropriate. In terms of confidentiality and privacy, the following are examples of the kinds of behaviors that the ICF expects their members to subscribe to. I will maintain the strictest levels of confidentiality with all client information. I will have a clear agreement or contract before releasing information to another person unless required by law. I will have a clear agreement upon how coaching information will be exchanged among coach and client. In terms of conflict of interest, the following are examples of the kinds of behaviors that the ICF expects their members to subscribe to. I will seek to avoid conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest, and openly disclose any such conflicts. I will offer to remove myself when such a conflict arises. I will only barter for services, goods, or other non-monetary remuneration when it will not impair the coaching relationship. I will not knowingly take any personal, professional, or monetary advantage or benefit of the coach-client relationship, except by a form of compensation as agreed in the agreement or contract. I will disclose to my client all anticipated compensation from third parties that I may pay or receive for referrals of that client. More on these in the webinars. Now, let's look at ethical business practices, in particular, how coaches demonstrate high standards of professional and personal integrity and develop professional relationships. Coaches have a reputation to maintain. A high bar is set for people in positions of influence within the community. Everyday citizens look to people in such positions as role models for good behavior, getting results and maintaining the reputation and good standing of the community. Hence, coaches need to demonstrate the highest levels of honesty and integrity in all dealings with the client and the community. They must be as solid and reliable as their word. What they say they will do, they must do, acting as a role model for professional integrity and honest relationships. As a coach, you will come into contact with a number of other professionals in the community. How you relate to them will have an effect on the way they view you and the services you provide. As a coach, you should comply with all personal and professional standards. Adhere to ethical and legal standards in all your social and business dealings. Act with honesty, integrity, and respect, building long-term supportive and mutually beneficial associations. Keep all confidential matters confidential. In terms of resolving any disputes that may arise in your coaching practice or with other professionals, coaches should deal with the dispute promptly. Make a specific meeting with the client to discuss the issue. Aim for clarity of purpose and intention. In other words, a win-win. However, if the dispute continues, you may need a mediator. It's good to know that the Department of Fair Trading or the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission have mediators on staff to help you resolve your differences. That's all for now. More information on everything in this video will be provided during the webinars. As you read through and consider the learning material in your workbook, you may come up with questions or areas of concern you would like discussed in more detail. Please forward your questions or suggestions through to us so we can include them in the webinars. In the next video, you'll learn about understanding individual differences and how these affect relationships and performance at work. See you then.